Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Movies for Life YouTube channel. I'm your host, Brian. And in this video, we're going to take a look at an interesting anthology movie. It's a foreign film, actually, an Asian anthology movie. Um, Now, is it a sequel or is it a prequel? That's the question. And the movie I'm talking about, I have on DVD here, and that is Three Extremes 2. So the first Three Extremes movie I watched a couple times now, but I watched and reviewed about 4 years ago on my channel. One of the first movies actually that I did a review for on my channel. So if you want to search for that, um, I'll also have it up here at the end of this video as a linked video that you can check out. But I really enjoyed Three Extremes from 2004. So when I found out there was a sequel a couple of years ago, I went ahead and bought this on DVD, Three Extremes 2. First time watching it for this series here. Um, but I looked at it and I said, how can this be Three Extremes 2? This movie came out before Three Extremes did. And yet they have it like it's a sequel with two, like it's the second one. Well, upon doing a little bit of research, I found out that if you live in the United States, this movie was actually made and titled Three in Asia, where it was originally as an Asian film. It was titled Three in 2002, and then Three Extremes was 2004. However, the movie wasn't released. Three wasn't released in the United States upon release, and um, when Three was first released over there overseas. So it wasn't released until after Three Extremes came out. That's why the title is Three Extremes 2 in the United States. So technically, if you live in the United States like I do, um, this is a sequel to Three Extremes, technically. Um, but that's also why it's really different too in tone, and it's really kind of throws you off by having this called Three Extremes 2. I think it should just be Three Part 2 or something like that. I don't know how they could have done it, but there's nothing extreme about this movie, frankly, in comparison to the first one. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there because obviously I have that in my title. Is it a prequel or is it a sequel? Well, it depends on where you're from. If you live over in Asia, this is the original, and this isn't the title. It's just Three, and then Three Extremes from 2004 was the sequel. Over here in the United States, technically, upon when it comes to releases, this is the sequel to Three Extremes. So I don't know. I probably confused you guys more by that little caveat there, but anyway, I just kind of wanted to explain where I live in the United States. This is a sequel. Three Extremes 2. Let's just go ahead and get into it before I confuse you anymore. Um, so yeah, Three Extremes 2. Now I'm not going to give the cast away, and I'm not going to give a lot of the names involved because, frankly, I can't pronounce them. So, uh, but Three or Three Extremes 2 in the United States is a 2002 horror anthology film consisting of three segments by directors from three Southeast Asia and East Asia countries. The segments are in order: Memories, directed by Kim Ji-woon from South Korea; The Wheel, directed by Nanzi Nimabort from Thailand; and Going Home, directed by Peter Chan from Hong Kong. So it does have a nice variety there of Asian areas from the directors are from. So this is a sequel by different directors following the same concept of Three Extremes. Was released in 2004. It did not feature a Thai director, but a Japanese director instead. Although Three was not originally released in the United States, the success of its sequel, Three Extremes, led to the original's release under the title Three Extremes 2. So I probably should have just said that instead of my little diatribe there about whether it's a sequel or a prequel. But anyway, water under the bridge. So I'm just going to talk about each of these stories a little bit, and then I'll give you my review and my thoughts overall. So the first story is entitled "Memories." This is about a man who goes to a psychiatrist to try to remember what happened the day his wife disappeared from his life. Meanwhile, his wife wakes up and finds herself lying on a deserted road, having no idea how she got there in the first place. And it's kind of an interesting, you kind of have two separate stories going on in this one story, from the husband's perspective and the wife's perspective. And of course, it all ties and meets up at the end. And I would say the twist is pretty good. Part of it I think is predictable, but part of it isn't. And I thought it was handled pretty well. So I'll get more into that in my review. The Wheel, the second story, is about a puppet master known as Han Lakain Lek, named Master Teo, lies dying in his bed after he has drowned his wife and son. And I don't want to give too much away with this one, but basically it's about cursed puppets. And this takes place in Thailand, I believe. Yeah, because it's directed by the Thailand director, the director from Thailand. Um, yeah, it's just not one I can really give too much away on, but it kind of goes from there. But it starts with this puppet master named Teo lying dead in his lying lies dying in his bed, I should say, after drowning his wife and son. So getting his comeuppance, maybe you'll have to watch to find out. And then the third and final story is entitled "Going Home." This is about a widowed cop named Kwok Chan Kuk Wa. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, who moves to a dying apartment with his son, Chaeyoung. He is informed about Yu, a neighbor across the complex who lives with his paralyzed wife, Hayer, and daughter. Yu's daughter creeps out Chaeyoung, but the two become friends and later play at a photo studio. And I'm not going to give too much more away. Then it kind of goes from there, where there's the widowed cop Kwok was kidnapped by Yu, the guy in the other apartment, and it just kind of goes from there. It kind of plays out very interesting and very creepily. Let's just say. So those are the three stories for Three Extremes 2 or 3, if you're overseas. Definitely not as good as Three Extremes. I'll say that right up front. Like I said, I didn't even know there was a sequel to Three Extremes until a couple of years ago when I watched somebody else's horror collection video, and they talked about the sequel, Three Extremes 2, in the United States. And I had to get it because I really enjoyed Three Extremes so much. Um, this isn't nearly as good as Three Extremes, but it is interesting. It's not a bad anthology. It's just a big step down, in my opinion, from that movie. So let's just go ahead and get into it, starting with the things that I liked about Three Extremes 2. I think all three stories are very competently made. They're well shot, well directed, and they have great cinematography, especially the second story entitled The Wheel from Thailand. The cinematography is the best thing about that story. And the musical score as well throughout the whole movie, I thought was really solid. So it's a very competently made anthology movie, and all the stories are well made. I do think there are enjoyable twists at the end of the first and third stories specifically, that really worked for me. The second story kind of has a twist at the end, but that one we'll get into. There's some creepy imagery and moments throughout the movie. Probably not to the same degree that Three Extremes had, but and I enjoyed the setup and payoff of most of the third and final story. I thought that story was well acted and it was very interesting. Just had a very interesting premise in the way it played out and everything. So those are my pros, kind of short and to the point, but that's what I've got. As far as cons go for Three Extremes 2, it's a foreign, this is more of a warning that I always throw out there for foreign films, but it's a foreign film with subtitles. So get ready to read a little bit if you want to watch this movie. Now, that doesn't bother me. As I've gotten older, I actually have come to like foreign films and I don't mind subtitles. But I know there's a lot of people that they don't want to read when they're watching a movie. The one good thing I'll say is this is a movie that you don't have to read a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of dialogue. Um, it's a lot. You can kind of tell what's going on through visuals, through emotions, through the acting. There is some dialogue, there is some subtitles that you'll have to read, particularly at the beginning of a couple of these stories to kind of set you up for it. But I'm just kind of throwing that out there. If that's not your thing, it's not your thing. But this one's not too bad. It's not like you have to read throughout the whole movie. None of the stories here are to the level of Three Extremes, as I said before. Um, None of them are as extreme. None of them are as scary or as gross as the stories in Three Extremes. The second story here I thought was kind of boring. The Wheel. And there's a lot of people actually said that they thought that was the best. Going into it, I was told that was the best of the three stories. I don't really understand that. It was. I thought there were parts that were kind of boring in spots, and I really didn't fully understand it at the end of the movie, at the end of the story, what the point of it was or what they were trying to say. It wasn't very well brought to a conclusion, I guess is the best way to say it. So that really wasn't my thing. The first story, it definitely is a bit predictable, especially if you've watched enough horror movies or mystery thrillers. At least partially predictable, not fully. So that saves it a little bit. And then, of course, like a lot of horror anthologies or some, and I'm a stickler for this, there's no wraparound story, there's no connective tissue. These are just three separate stories, much like Three Extremes was. And then some of the effects don't really hold up or age all that well. They look kind of cheesy. Like there's a guy in the third story that ends up getting a character that gets hit by a car, and yeah, it's not the best. It doesn't come across the best on film. So those are my cons for Three Extremes. Two, um, they have a masterpiece, a film you need to see according to HorrorTalk.com. Um, yeah, I don't know about that. Um, by the way, here's the back of the movie. It doesn't really have. It's got some DVD features, but that's really about it. Just like 16 by 9 widescreen version, original language type of, no documentaries or anything. But I would recommend watching this, especially if you do like anthology movies. If you like the first Three Extremes movie, just know that it's not like that one in terms of extreme. That's why it was originally just entitled Three in the countries that it was made. They didn't use the word extremes. That's what kind of throws this one off from a U.S. title. It was just three stories. And then Three Extremes came along as the sequel over there. So this was never meant to be a sequel, and it was never meant to have the extremes word in the title here. So that's going to throw people out. So I just want to point that out to people that I would recommend it as an anthology movie, as an interesting Asian foreign film anthology horror movie. Just know that it's not going to compete probably for you like it didn't with me with the original Three Extremes, original for us again. As far as my ranking of the three stories, uh, number three would be The Wheel. That was my least favorite. Number two would be Memories. That one had some good gore in it, I would say. And the story was interesting, how there are two different characters, different perspectives. But my favorite was the last one called Going Home. I thought that one was the best acted, the most interesting, had the most interesting twist in it. Just kind of everything about it. There's a little bit of like some good makeup and practical effects in that one as well. So yeah, Going Home is my favorite of the three stories. Overall, I'm going to give this movie a 6.5 out of 10 as far as a horror anthology rating goes. 6.5 out of 10 for Three Extremes 2 or 3 from 2002. Go ahead and comment down below if anybody out there has seen this movie, whether you call it the original or the sequel, depending on where you're at. Um, Please like this video, hit the little notification bell, and subscribe to my channel. It would really help me out if you could do that. But with that being said, I hope you guys are enjoying this July series of horror anthology reviews. We've got one more movie that's going to come out early next week. I decided I'm not gonna have like a recap or a ranking of these anthology movies before the end of the month. I'm just not going to do it because I need to start getting into what I'm going to have in August, which I will have a video for that, probably the last day in July to prep for that, an intro video. So, with all that being said, stay tuned for my last anthology review for this series early next week. But I hope you guys are enjoying this series overall. Um, with that being said, thanks for watching, and as always, stay scared. Bye.